Every night, when the world falls into silence, it is often the moment when the noise in our minds can surge intensely. You've probably experienced it too, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, caught up in an endless stream of thoughts about what you've done, what you could have done better, and vague worries about tomorrow. Exhausting, isn't it? But you're not alone in this relentless mental race. Overthinking feels like an itch you cannot scratch. It creeps into every thought, stealing your sleep and peace. But what if I told you there's a way to soothe that noise? Today, we're diving into the wisdom of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that still offers powerful practical value even in our modern age. Stoicism is not just a series of historical concepts, it is also a toolkit that helps us live with more calmness and focus. If you're ready to learn, join me as we explore how these age-old strategies can bring peace and clarity to our chaotic world. Take a moment, breathe, and imagine a mind no longer dominated by constant worries. These tools have helped many overcome mental turmoil and might just be the key for you too. And if you find what we're sharing helpful and want to continue receiving value from Stoicism, don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button. This video will guide you step by step in learning to control your thoughts, so you won't miss a single insight on your journey to reclaiming peace of mind. Lesson 1: Action over analysis. We've all experienced the feeling of sitting still while our mind races with millions of what-ifs and maybes. Those are the moments when we get caught in an analysis spiral that leads nowhere. Then we suddenly realize that hours have passed in stagnation. Stoicism offers us a potent antidote to this paralysis by emphasizing that action matters more than endless thinking. Marcus Aurelius once emphasized that the secret of all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious. For him, thinking alone was not enough. He knew how to transform thought into action, creating real impact in his life and reign. So what can we learn from this lesson? First, recognize that action moves us forward, while overanalysis can keep us paralyzed. When you decide to take even a small step, doesn't it feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders? That's the power of action. It helps us break the chains of procrastination and frees us from doubt. I've been there too. Once, I had a great idea for a project. I spent weeks planning it in my head, considering every detail. But guess what? The idea went nowhere. I got stuck in analysis paralysis, trying to make everything perfect to the point that I couldn't even start. The moment I took action, even if it was just jotting down some notes or discussing it with a friend, things started to change. The project wasn't perfect at first, but I made progress. Stoics believe that we can control our actions, but not always the outcomes. So instead of trying to control every possible scenario for the future, focus on what we can do right now. And it's a way to minimize feeling overwhelmed and embrace progress. When we act, we learn. Every step forward is a new lesson, an opportunity to understand and adapt. Action is also the root of confidence. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that you can overcome fear and hesitation. You build momentum, and soon what once seemed impossible to start becomes doable. In Stoicism, there are many lessons about living in accordance with nature, and the most natural thing is to learn and grow through action, not just thought. So today, what action can you take? Maybe it's making a call you've been putting off, sending an email, or simply tidying up your workspace. Action doesn't need to be a giant leap. Small steps are still progress, and the most important thing is that they move you forward. Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare difficult." By valuing action over analysis, we empower ourselves to live more fully, bravely, and purposefully. So stop over-analyzing and start executing those plans. You'll be surprised at what you can achieve simply by shifting from thought to action. Instead of spending too much time thinking, commit to taking a small step each day toward your goal. For example, if you have an idea for a business project, instead of overthinking the complex details, take small actions like writing down your idea, talking to a friend for feedback, or doing quick market research. Each action, no matter how small, helps you gain experience and build motivation to move forward. You'll find that as you take action, questions and worries will naturally be resolved step by step. Action is the most practical way to turn thoughts into results. Lesson 2: you're not that special. This idea comes directly from the Stoic philosophy, particularly through the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, who constantly reminded himself to keep his ego in check. In Meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This reminder helps us focus on what truly matters without being swayed by self-importance. But why is realizing that you're not special actually a good thing? Because it helps us understand that the world doesn't revolve around us as much as we think. For most people are too preoccupied with their own worries to spend much time thinking about our actions. This realization is a turning point, allowing us to stop overthinking how others perceive us. Have you ever hesitated to post something online because you were worried about what people would think, or feared starting a new project because you thought that if you failed, you'd be judged? The truth is, most people won't remember your mistakes for long. They have their own challenges to deal with. This concept helps dissolve the illusion that we're constantly under scrutiny, a trap that often leads to overthinking and anxiety. It's a relief, isn't it? Realizing that you can be true to yourself without worrying that the world will collapse each time you make a mistake. Understanding this allows you to experiment, learn, and live without being haunted by others' judgment. Stoicism teaches us humility and the importance of improving ourselves, not for praise, but for its true value. Marcus Aurelius believed in living a virtuous life, not to seek recognition from others, but to honor one's own nature. So the next time you find yourself overly concerned about how others perceive you, remember that you're not the center of the universe, and that's a good thing. It allows you to live more genuinely, more freely, and without being overly concerned about trivial judgments. Realizing this is not about devaluing yourself, it's about freeing yourself from unnecessary expectations. That instead of spending time worrying, focus on what really matters, immerse yourself in your passions, and let the trivial worries fade away. The life becomes more pleasant and authentic when you're no longer placing yourself under a constant spotlight. A friend of mine who was very passionate about art once shared that she often felt anxious about posting her work on social media. She wondered if people would judge her skills or if someone would criticize her artwork. She would spend hours tweaking every tiny detail, only to ultimately refrain from posting anything due to fear of judgment. One day she came across Marcus Aurelius's quote, "You could leave life right now. So let that determine what you do and say and think." This quote made her realize that she had put herself at the center too much, thinking that everyone was overly concerned with every detail of her work. In reality, most people were busy with their own issues and wouldn't pay as much attention as she feared. With this realization, she began posting her work more naturally and spent more time focusing on creating. Not only did she feel freer, but she also found that sharing her work helped her progress faster, as she was no longer burdened by invisible expectations. Lesson 3: comparison is the thief of joy. We often make ourselves unhappy by constantly comparing ourselves to others, from success and appearance to glamorous social media posts. And when we use others' achievements as the yardstick for our own worth, we're playing an unfair game, and it's all too easy to become disappointed. Imagine you've had a great day, proud of what you've just accomplished, but then a quick glance at Instagram or Facebook, and all those positive feelings can suddenly disappear. You see friends showing off vacations, a new house, or major achievements, and suddenly your own success seems small. This is the trap of comparison. Stoicism reminds us that instead of comparing ourselves, we should focus on what is within our control. Other people's lives, their successes, everything they have, these are all beyond our control. Epictetus once said, "Focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot." This valuable reminder helps us channel our energy toward what we can truly change: ourselves, our actions, and our personal growth. Think of it as a shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on others' accomplishments and feeling inadequate, we can pause to reflect on our own progress. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we begin to view our life as a unique journey rather than a race against someone else's standards of success. Each of us has our own path, with its own challenges and triumphs. That's reason enough to celebrate our victories without being overshadowed by others. If you cultivate the ability to stop comparing and instead focus on your own values and goals, you'll find joy more naturally and deeply. That you'll no longer need validation from others. Instead, you'll have an internal sense of joy and assurance that you're moving in the right direction for your own life. The next time you catch yourself falling into the trap of comparison, try to pause. Take a deep breath and remember that your worth does not depend on how you compare to others. You define your own value and progress. Shifting your energy away from comparison and focusing instead on your personal goals will help you find true happiness that comes from living authentically and not being influenced by external benchmarks. Rather than looking at social media posts with a lens of comparison, ask yourself, what have I achieved today compared to yesterday? This is how to create a measure of success based on your own growth, rather than being affected by other standards. Lesson 4. Perfection is a trap. Perfection is often an alluring myth, leading us to chase a standard we may never achieve. This desire for perfection rather than leading to success often brings constant stress and a feeling of never being good enough. Trying to control every detail and avoid every mistake can lead to paralysis, making us afraid whenever faced with a new challenge. The Stoics understood this trap well. They believed that striving for a perfect standard is not only futile but also prevents us from enjoying what we already have. Seneca once remarked, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And this is true. The obsession with perfection and the fear of failure often cause more stress than real challenges. Perfection is an illusion in the mind, while what we do with all its flaws are the real experiences we need to cherish. Accepting ourselves with imperfections is a way to free ourselves from heavy expectations. When we give up the illusion that everything must be perfect, we allow ourselves to move forward without excessive worry. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." According to him, failures and flaws are not obstacles but an essential part of our growth. When we view obstacles as opportunities to learn, we can overcome anxiety and continue to grow. Instead of trying to reach an unattainable standard, focus on incremental progress. When facing a new challenge, think mistakes are natural and valuable. If you approach work with a mindset of learning rather than fear, you'll feel more at ease, more willing to innovate, and more able to take risks. This helps you to experiment, be creative, and make real progress. Letting go of the myth of perfection will open up a new world full of possibilities, a world where growth becomes a joy rather than a burden. Focus on the process and celebrate small steps forward instead of only focusing on a achieving goal. When we learn to see value in our imperfections, our experiences become richer and life becomes more genuine and honest. So by freeing ourselves from the burden of perfection, we also free our minds from overthinking and unnecessary stress. As a result, our lives become lighter, more meaningful, and more open to new experiences. Instead of being obsessed with making everything perfect, focus on doing the best you can and view each effort as a step of progress. Finally, remember that none of us are perfect. Imperfection is what makes us unique and gives us depth. Cherish your mistakes and flaws because they are what help us grow and bring us closer to our true selves. When we stop striving for perfection, we find strength and joy in the journey forward. Lesson 5. Don't let emotions drive your decisions. Stoicism teaches us that emotions, while a natural part of being human, should not dictate our decisions or how we perceive reality. Marcus Aurelius once advised us to take a step back, observe our emotions, and ask ourselves whether those feelings are based on truth or just fleeting reactions. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." By recognizing this, we discover inner strength. Think about a time when emotions overwhelmed you, perhaps anxiety before an important meeting or disappointment after an argument. In those moments, emotions seem overwhelming and take over our thoughts, making them feel like they are the entire reality. But emotions are only temporary. They come and go, and they can lead us to overestimate a situation. Stoicism teaches that this doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but rather not letting them control us. It's about learning to respond rationally to challenges instead of acting impulsively. A few years ago, I faced a situation where emotions completely dictated how I perceived things. It was when I was interviewing for a crucial position at a company I had dreamed about for a long time. I had spent months preparing and had high hopes for this interview. However, when I received an email saying I hadn't been selected, I was completely devastated. Disappointment, failure, and feelings of inadequacy flooded over me, making me believe I wasn't good enough, that I had wasted my time and effort in vain. In the following days, I spiraled into negative and despairing thoughts, to the point where I began doubting myself and the value of the efforts I had made. After some time, though, I remembered Marcus Aurelius' teaching, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." I paused and asked myself whether this rejection really meant what I thought it did. I began looking at the situation from a different perspective, reminding myself that one failure did not define my abilities, it was merely a door that hadn't opened. Gradually, I realized that my emotions, though intense, were only fleeting reactions. Instead of letting that sadness control me, I decided to learn from the interview, reflect on what needed improvement, and continue preparing for other opportunities. A few months later, I received an invitation to interview for another position, one that was better suited to my abilities and goals. This time, with a calmer and more composed mindset, I succeeded. That was when I truly understood the lesson of not letting emotions dictate actions. Had I remained in my despair, I might not have had the courage to try again and ultimately succeed. That experience taught me that in life, we cannot control every event, but we can control how we respond to and learn from them, enabling us to move forward with greater resilience. And lesson 6, detach yourself from outcomes. Stoics emphasize that the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot is key to living a peaceful and sustainable life. Epictetus once said, "Some things are within our control and some are nice. Not this simple truth forms the fig now of the ocean, calm nation flow on it." Think of it, a time when you worked hard for a personal or professional goal, only to become fixated on achieving a perfect outcome. Every small mistake, every fleeting failure might have suddenly become a disaster in your eyes, leading to stress and frustration. And we focus solely on the result. It's easy to feel lost. But if instead you focus on the process, on giving your best in every small action, you will find freedom and satisfaction that comes from the effort itself, regardless of the outcome. This doesn't mean that we don't care about results, but rather that we don't let them define our value. Imagine applying this lesson to daily life, like improving your health. If you start a habit of eating healthy or exercising with the sole goal of losing a specific amount of weight, every time you weigh yourself becomes a harsh test of self-worth. However, if instead you focus on the joy of feeling your body grow stronger and more energized each day, then weight loss becomes a secondary benefit, not the only measure of success. This Stoic approach not only helps build resilience but also fosters lasting motivation. So when you're not tied to outcomes, you're less likely to be defeated by temporary setbacks. These setbacks are just opportunities to learn, adjust, and continue growing. Furthermore, letting go of expectations about outcomes allows us to fully focus on the task at hand, improving our performance by eliminating unnecessary worries. Ironically, when we focus on actions rather than results, we often achieve better outcomes. So when you focus on your actions, live according to your values, and put your dedication into each moment, the results will take care of themselves. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, if you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. This is true freedom, and it's also the way to reduce unnecessary stress. Lesson 7. The present moment is all you have. Stoicism reminds us that only in the present can we truly act and live our lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present," as a reminder that both the past and the future are beyond our control. So this statement seems simple, yet it carries profound truth. We cannot change the past, nor can we fully control the future. The only thing we have the power to influence is the present moment, the time when all our actions, choices, and awareness are actually happening. We often let our minds drift to what is past or what is yet to come. An argument, a mistake we made, or worries about the future can preoccupy our minds. When we get caught in that loop, not only do we drain our energy, but we also miss out on the life that's unfolding right now. Stoicism encourages us to practice presence in order to reduce negative thoughts and enhance our effectiveness and happiness. Embracing the present moment doesn't mean forgetting the past or neglecting to plan for the future. It's about balanced learning from experience and preparing for what's to come without letting those things overshadow the present. Imagine you're having dinner with your family, but your mind is racing with work thoughts. By not being present in that moment, you miss out on simple joys and the precious moments spent with loved ones. To bring yourself back to the present, try simple practices like taking deep breaths and observing your surroundings. Feel the space, listen to the sounds, and take in the sense around you. Just a few minutes of focusing on these details can help you break free from anxiety and regain control of your mind. So when we are fully present, we notice seemingly small details that can bring unexpected joy, like the fragrance of a cup of tea or the warmth of the evening sun. Stoicism encourages us to be grateful for what's in front of us, because only by being present can we truly appreciate the good things life offers. More than that, it teaches us that life isn't just a series of events or milestones to reach, but an ongoing journey to feel and experience. Each present moment is the foundation upon which life is built. Marcus Aurelius urged us to live with full energy and purpose in the present moment, to become creators of our lives rather than being swept along by the current. So by learning to seize the present, we not only manage stress better, but also live with a sense of peace and fulfillment. This is the precious gift of presence that Stoicism offers us, a life rich in meaning and value. Thank you for watching our video. If you find this video valuable and meaningful, please share it with your friends and family. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos from our channel in the future.